Got milk? You've heard that expression. Well, American dairy farmers have a glut of it, but their export options are drying up in the face of tariffs. Canada, right off the bat, they have a 270% tariff on U.S. milk going into that country. China and Mexico planning retaliatory tariffs on dairy products, specifically cheese, next month. In a Fox Business exclusive, we're bringing in U.S. Dairy Council Export CEO and former Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack. Welcome, Mr. Secretary. I need to know right off the bat, you're talking to these dairy farmers every single day. What is the most pressing issue for them?
Well, they're deeply concerned about the current situation. We had momentum. The first 4 months of this year, we saw record exports to Canada, to Mexico and to China. Now there's a little bit of uncertainty. The Chinese putting a tariff on cheese may stop the momentum of cheese sales in that country. And Mexico, which is our #1 market, now assessing tariffs against cheese that makes us less competitive than we were. So it's a real concern now. And producers are just now coming out of a significant low price situation. They were hopeful that this year would be a better year than last year, and now there's a bit of uncertainty.
Well, $628 billion for our viewers who don't know what we're talking about here. That's how much worth of dairy other countries buy from us. What would be the most immediate issue you'd love to see tackled and fixed?
Well, I think the administration had momentum towards resolving the NAFTA discussions. That would open up the Canadian market. It would end Class 7, allow us to basically have a fair system there, and preserve the market opportunities that we had in Mexico and get a lifting of those tariffs. Then negotiating with the Chinese, finally working through whatever the challenges are with that relationship so that we see a lifting of those tariffs so we continue to maintain momentum in an expanding market opportunity that China represents. And then finally, if it's going to be a long period of time where we're going to be engaged in this uncertain state, then putting together a package of assistance and help for farmers. Obviously, they would prefer to have markets than help, but if it's going to be long, drawn-out negotiation, we're going to need some help. I've
seen farmers, you know, I've got a lot of them watching here on Fox Business, and some of them say to me, Liz, we don't want a handout. We've actually organized good relationships on the ground in China, on the ground in other countries, and they said it doesn't just stop and then start up again. That is a hard thing to do. Call those relationships and say, okay, I guess our countries and our presidents got their act together or decided to figure it out. But surely you see President Trump's problem with all of this, and that is, for so long, we have had a playing field that in some cases has been very skewed. Canada, for example, when it comes to dairy. Am I missing something in the Canadian relationship?
Well, no, clearly the Canadians have a supply management system that controls the supply. And our concern with that system is that whenever they have a surplus of supply, they let the rest of the world try to solve their problem rather than doing it within their supply management system. So we're concerned about that, and we appreciate the fact the administration has brought this up in the NAFTA negotiations. We'd like to see them conclude with a opening of the market, an end of Class 7 pricing system that's distorted the powder market, and preserving what has been working very well in the Mexican relationship, which is our #1 market. That's going to take some effort, but our hope is that that can be done quickly. The Chinese situation, you're absolutely right. Obviously, they don't play by the rules. But the reality is when we go it alone, when we don't solicit allies and other nations to assist us in going to China, asking them to change their system, it makes it easier for the Chinese to retaliate against our producers. And we're going to have to deal with that. And if it's going to be long, drawn-out negotiation, then the administration has promised to provide help and assistance to farmers, and it'll be interesting to see what that looks like and how it might impact dairy farmers.
Wisconsin's got to be shaking in its shoes. They're the big cheese producers. And then, of course, Ohio. What other states are very nervous at this point?
California, Idaho, Colorado, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. I mean, you name it. Virtually every state has dairy. Virtually every state is impacted by dairy exports. There are thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs connected to this. In fact, 3 million people are employed directly or indirectly as a result of the dairy industry. And you mentioned the $628 billion impact that the industry has on our economy. So it's a big industry. And in fact, the food and agriculture industry is the largest single industry in the country. 43 million jobs are connected to that industry. So anything that impacts and affects food and agriculture is going to have a rippling effect throughout the economy.
Secretary Vilsack, we'll be watching this story very closely. It means a lot to our viewers and to us. Thank you so much for coming on the program.